So most of us know that exercise and moving our body is like crucial for overall good health. And me being an advocate of exercise and moving and just getting out there in nature and you know, loving the whole process of being healthy, I have invited Delia McCabe here today to actually chat in regards to reducing stress, exercising that and exercising in a way or that reduces stress. Because what happens, and I've seen it all too often, is that, you know, many women and people in general think that we have to exercise excessively to actually be healthy, but in fact sometimes our exercise can be a major stress on our body. So Delia is just going to actually talk a little bit about that in more detail in regards to exercise and stress and what happens within our cells of our body. So welcome, Delia. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. As far as exercise goes, I know I don't have to tell you how important it is. I mean, it's part of what we should do because our bodies were meant to move. And I think a lot of people don't understand how important exercise is to manage stress. And it does this in a number of different ways. And one of the ways it does this is it actually helps us produce something called BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And this is kind of like fertilizer for neurons. It helps our neurons grow more synapses. And this means that our brain becomes more connected and becomes more capable of functioning optimally. So BDNF is very important. BDNF is also related to serotonin, which helps our body cope with stress. It regulates appetite. It helps us cope with anxiety. It's the precursor to melatonin, which helps us sleep. So serotonin has got an enormous role to play in our health and well-being physically and mentally. And exercise supports serotonin synthesis. So that's the first thing about, about exercise. The second thing about exercise is that it helps our immune system function really well. And that's simply because our lymphatic system doesn't have a pump like our circulatory system has. And the pump that our circulatory system has is the heart. Now, our lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. So it actually needs us to move the lymph through our bodies. And why does that matter? Because lymph is a fluid that lives in our lymph nodes that filters through all the toxins in our body, the waste products, the pathogens. So if a virus enters your body, it's going to find its way to your lymph nodes. And if your lymph nodes are functioning well, it's going to filter out that virus and get rid of it. So when we move, we stimulate our lymph. We get our lymph going and it functions really optimally. If we don't, which is why we now know that a sedentary lifestyle has got a huge risk factor for all sorts of disease states. That's one of the reasons it does that, because the immune system can't pick up on problems happening in the body, including cancer cells, if it's not activated regularly. And you can also have a lymph massage, which is a lymph drainage massage, which is very, very relaxing. But to do it at home on your own with exercise is the simplest thing to do. And you know, if you've got some stairs in your house, you run up and down the stairs. Just go up and down the stairs a few times. Just move around your home. When you go for a walk, you will be activating your lymph. You don't have to go to gym. I know a lot of gyms have closed. My son has made his own gym in the house, just using what he found, because the gym is closed. So you don't have to go to the gym to get the benefits of both exercise for stress reduction and exercise for maintaining immune function. It's just a matter of moving as often as you can. And if you've got a little watch type thing that measures your steps every day, try and just increase that every single day. Because in that way, you're simply upping your movement every day without it having to cost you any extra stress. Just go up the stairs an extra time. Just walk a little bit further around the block. And in that way, you're actually moving. I remember, and it stuck in my mind a couple of years ago, where a researcher said to me, and these are really profound words. He said that a mood disorder is often a lack of movement disorder. And I didn't understand the neurology of that, but now I do. So we can keep our mood stable simply by making sure that we increase our movement.
Oh, look, I so totally agree with that, because when we're exercising, it's actually pumping happy hormones to our brain. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's one key factor that I learned off one of my mentors many years ago. And one thing that we can do is set a timer in our clock, in our watch, or on our phone for like every hour. This alarm can go off, and we can just run on the spot for 15 to 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and if you can't run, you can do some other sort of low impact exercise. But if we can pump those happy hormones to our brain every hour, imagine how we're going to feel, right?
I agree with you 100%. Those endorphins are hugely powerful on mood. It will help us feel more in control in this situation we find ourselves in. And if we can modulate our mood, improve our mood, we're better able to cope. We just feel like we're more in control. So I agree entirely, absolutely. And I love that idea of doing it every hour. I think that's a good. My little machine tells me, although I've got a standing desk, and that's something that people can try if they're working at home now. Try and make your desk a standing desk, because then you actually move around while you're at your desk. And I find that when I sit, I don't feel as active. My brain doesn't feel as active when I sit. So people can try that. I've seen people put a whole lot of boxes up and put their monitor on top of the boxes. This is time to innovate and get creative.
Absolutely. And get those happy hormones, because we're actually in a time at the moment, Delia, where a lot of our, as you have mentioned, our brain is thinking doom and gloom at this point in time, so, and that's because our focus is on what is happening within the world at the moment. And that's totally understandable, as we have mentioned earlier. But, if we can counteract that by pumping happy hormones to our brain and moving, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be long. It's just moving our body like hourly, rather than sitting and contemplating and thinking about things that that is totally out of our control. What we can control is pumping happy hormones through our brain, through the way that we think and the way that we're moving. And what better way to be able to really be able to move past this world crisis at the moment and come out the other end by controlling what we can control, and really not even putting any focus on what we can't control. I mean, and let's face it, we're not in control of this virus at the moment. So bringing our attention and our focus back to what we can control, and that's exercise, and doing that on a very regular basis throughout the day is just like imperative. So
yeah, look, I think if people, it's a pleasure. I think that is such a critical point, because if people aren't doing that in their normal life, they should start doing it now, and then keep going when life goes back to normal. I definitely think that that's part of it.
Yeah,
take the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, Delia. I see this as such a massive opportunity for people to do the things that they really weren't doing beforehand. And like, for me, gardening brings me joy. So in order for us to be able to lower our immune system, increase our immune system and lower our stress, we can really take this opportunity to reconnect with what brought us joy to start with, that we weren't doing because we were out doing our jobs and really just moving through life in a way that we thought that we were supposed to do, right? But this is an opportunity now that we may be in a situation where we're housebound, to really get those happy hormones pumping, to really connect with what brings us joy, whether that's spending time with our family, reading books, learning something new, or creating something new with our skill sets that we already have. I see it as a time of massive opportunity that people can really capitalize on and come out the other end of this going, whoa, I don't know what just happened, but far out, I'm in such a better space than I was.
I love that. I think we can do that, and it just needs a shift of perspective.
Absolutely.
Despite the lack of control, we have control over our perspective.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Thank you so much, Delia. It's been a pleasure. Appreciate you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Lynn.